Okay, if you've ever had a hard time deciding if you want to invest between Tesla, NIO, Lucid, or Rivian, invest in this charging stock instead, okay, and get the benefits from all of them. Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Foxtel Digital coming to you again with Black Girl Stocks. And this is another segment of our top 3 option plays this week, where we're just gonna go over a few different trades, stock fundamentals, and different strategies that you can do to make it through, okay? If this is your first time watching this video, please make sure that you click that thumbs up button for me. It really helps the channel. Also subscribe and click that notification bell so that you get notified anytime I upload a new video for you guys. So no recap, let's just go ahead and get into this week's plays. All right, so the first stock is QQQ. This is Invesco, and right now it's trading at $306.20. QQQ is an ETF or exchange traded fund, and they invest in a collection of different stocks and different companies that are in virtual reality, companies that maintain large amounts of data, mobile payments, companies in streaming services, and also EV stocks. Now, the largest stock in QQQ's portfolio right now is Apple, and they make up about 12.5% of QQQ. We have been in a slight downtrend since about the top of the year. So overall, we've had lower highs and lower lows. And right now it looks like we could be approaching a high right now. So we have our 50 period moving average, and that's at about $326. And we could possibly have reached another high here in this pattern here. So you can kind of see this downtrending pattern, boom, boom, boom. Is this the top, and are we going to continue in that trend? Our RSI looks like it could be, at a peak, it's at around 48.50, and in a downtrending stock that is considered high, and that's in a book, How to Use the RSI Indicator. It's actually written by Constance Brown. So if you guys haven't checked out that book, make sure you give it a read on just using the RSI indicator in different trends. And this is definitely a down trend. We definitely had a huge dip on Friday. We were down $8. So I did get into one bearish position on QQQ that was pretty huge. I think I bought about 100 contract, and that did very well. So for me, if I was looking for bearish entry on QQQ, I'm gonna have my entry around $304. So that's gonna be a little bit lower than our support from Friday. So once we start to move below that, then that would be a good indication that we're continuing in that downtrend. And even better would be this 303. So you can have your entry around $304 or 303. So once it passes that, then that would be a great indication that we are continuing in that downtrend. Okay, so for QQQ, you can either do one or two things. You can do either a credit spread or a put position. So if you want to go long, just do a regular put. You can do something like that, or you can get into a credit spread and have a credit receiving position. So first, looking at the puts, I'm going to do the June 13th expiration, and I'm going to look at the 300 strike price. So you see right here, our premium is 3.18. Now we have a very high volume, 6,000 volume, so this is very heavily traded on Friday. We have a decent delta. The theta is a little bit high, but we have a low implied volatility. So this is something that we can do going into next week. And even better, that has a higher open interest, would be the $305 strike price. But of course, that's going to be a little bit more expensive, but that's something that you can do also with a higher open interest and also a higher delta and lower theta. For a longer swing, the 305 is probably going to be your better bet, but for something short term, you can do the 300 strike price. And on the opposite, if you're looking to do a credit receiving position on this one, we're going to go to the June 15th expiration. Make sure you're in vertical and make sure you go to calls, and we're going to sell the $315 strike price, and we're going to buy the 316. So you see right here, we have a pretty decent bid and ask spread, about 10 cents in between. It's not terrible, but for this one, our maximum profit is going to be around anywhere from $26 to $36 with this, with a max loss of around 69. So that's something that you can do for QQQ. All right, the next stock is AMD. That's Advanced Micro Devices, and right now it's trading at $106.30. So you can kind of see with this stock, overall, we have been in a downtrend since about last November, and we've had lower highs and lower lows. We had a pretty good dip on Friday. Now, a lot of shares of semiconductor companies were down on Friday based on a downgrade and a price cut on Micron. That's MU. So MU did terrible on Friday. They were down $5. And this is all based on analyst predictions, okay? So AMD actually has their own analyst day coming up next Thursday. So that's going to be on June the 9th. 9th. Even just looking at this pattern that we're in, you can see that AMD has been in an uptrend for pretty much the entire month of May. AMD gained about 19% in May alone after they had a 21% drop in April. A lot of this growth was due to their positive earnings report, and even around concerns of lower consumer spending, high inflation rates, recession, interest rate increases, AMD's computing and graphics segment still grew over 33%. And they also had about $559 million in revenue from their Xilinx processors. So we could still see continued growth from AMD, but things could change very, very quickly if we do enter a bad recession. A lot of this play is just based on this pattern that we've been in. So just looking here, I just have this little trend line and we have some peaks. So we have a peak here at 103. We have another peak here at 109, a little bit of a dip here. So we really just want to see, okay, is it going to continue in this trend and possibly, you know, have a little bit of a cool off back down here to around the 90 region. Long term, we're still moving up. This is going to be a short term pull. This is anticipating a possible short-term pullback in AMD just going into this week. Looking at our RSI indicator, it's a little bit high there. It's around in the 60s. So let's just kind of see what happens with AMD. Okay, if I am, and even just looking into next week, we could see it continue to move up. It could reach around 114. So it still has room to grow. So if I was going to get into a bearish position, just anticipating it moving into that trend line, I would have my entry probably around 107. But if you're anticipating it moving into that if you're anticipating it continuing with this trend after we've reached this peak here and moving back down to the 90 region, for a bearish position, I'm going to have my entry around 104. Okay, so we're at 106, seeing it drop past 104 is going to be a good indication that we could, you know, continue in that overbought, oversold trend that we've been in with AMD. I'm going to go to the June 17th and I'm going to look at the $100 puts. Okay, so you see right here, we had a high volume last week, 22,000 on Friday, very high. Open interest 45,000, and we have a decent premium. We also have a decent delta point, almost 0.3, and a decent theta. So that's something that we can do with AMD, get that $100 put if we continue moving downwards and we pass that entry of around 104. And the last stock that we are going to look into is CHPT. That's ChargePoint Holdings. And right now it's trading at $14.57. So this was one that went crazy last week in our Discord group. If you guys haven't joined the Discord, make sure that you scroll down below and join my option trading Discord group. You can see here that we've been in a pretty strong uptrend, definitely starting around the 24th of May. You know, just in this overall pattern, we just kind of touched this 50-period moving average on the daily chart. So you see that other periods where we moved close to that, we had a little bit of growth after we touch that 50-period moving average. So we're right here, and let's see if we can possibly reach that 20 range. Okay, so with this stock, okay, if you've ever had a hard time deciding if you wanted to invest between Tesla, NIO, Lucid, or Rivian, invest in this charging stock instead, okay, and get the benefits from all of them. With Tesla moving up and down $100 a day just based off of Elon's silly tweets, and Rivian, you know, they're pissing people off, talking about raising pre-order prices and then taking it back. One thing that all EV cars need is a charge. So honestly, this may be a good holding investment outside of just doing a short-term option position. According to Ritholtz Wealth Management's Josh Brown, just investing in a stock like this, you're pretty much banking on the overall adoption of more reusable energy. And that's something that we're moving towards. So just looking at this, I mean, we had a really good week last week. If I was going to have a entry on a bullish position on ChargePoint, I'm going to have my entry around $15. Okay, so that's a peak that we had, really a peak that we had on Friday and during after hours. And let's see if we continue moving in that trend. Look at the June 17th, $14 calls. Okay, so you can see here that we have a 10,000 volume on Friday, 20,000 open interest, amazing delta 0.3. Oh, this is puts. Oops. Make sure you're in the calls. Okay, so you can look at the $14 $14 calls, and you see we have a 35,000 open interest and a $2,000 on the volume, so it's okay. Very, very high delta and decent theta, very low theta. So I would look at the $14 strike price, the calls for June the 17th on the charge point. All right, so that's it for our top 3, but make sure that you check out this video on Webull's amazing new features. It's definitely the top investing app after these features that they added, so make sure that you check out that pressure.